Tonight, what I want to share is part of a relationship that is very special to me with God. And that's my tithing, my privilege to give back to Him what He has given to me. I can't give back to Him what He gives to me day in and day out, morning and night and everything. And as I started thinking about what I wanted to share, that song, Trust Me, Try Me, Prove Me, came to my mind, because I can remember as a little girl standing in the pews at Tabernacle Baptist Church and singing those songs and singing them all the way through my childhood. And the verses that Ed read a while ago, Malachi 3, 8 through 10, bring the tithes into the storehouse. How have we robbed God? And even Luke 6:38, where it talks about giving, it'll be given to you, pressed down, shaken together, pouring out, just overflowing. When we hear those verses growing up, I know for myself, as a kid you think, okay, that's the Bible verse, that's what God says. You don't really think about how those verses impress our lives. I heard those verses in Sunday school and discipleship training and GAs and all through growing up. I was blessed to be raised in a church, in a family who was in church all the time. But hearing verses, singing songs is just kind of like, okay, that's a song. I know that. We know the words, we sing them, we hear them. But then one day when Christ becomes real in our lives, those words become real to us. Trust me, try me, prove me. I can pour out so much into your lives if you will but trust me. And early on in mine and David's life when I was married, it was hard like Ed was saying, but there was something inside of me, and not to pin roses on me or any of that kind of stuff, but there was something in me that I knew that I had to give back to God. And it was a struggle. It's a struggle for everybody. But when David and I talked about it, and I said, this is something we got to do. He wasn't a Christian when we got married, and it didn't happen right then. I don't remember the Sunday that God spoke to me and said, this is it, girl. You need to get serious. And we started tithing or giving. I don't know that we actually tithed because it was really tight, like what Ed was saying about he and Renda's life. But as we went on, we realized that even though it was hard, that we needed to give back to God, because there were things that He was doing in our lives that only He could do. We couldn't do it. And as we went on, we were in different places in our life, in Texas and Illinois, and we went on business trips and different things. But there was a preacher when we were in the Amway business, and he was preaching on Malachi 3, 8 through 10. And he was talking about, how do we rob God? And we think to ourselves today, sitting in the pew, how do we rob God? We give back to God. Time, talent, we might give a tithe, or we might give what we think is a tithe, or we feel is a tithe. But if God gave to us like we give to Him, where would we be? We'd be in trouble, because we can never outgive God. And all He asks is for a tenth. And it does say in the Bible, a tenth, to give a tithe and an offering. And even after my divorce and stuff, and I was tithing up before that and after that, and I realized that I needed to give God more than just that tenth. I needed to give Him more because He was blessing me. And that verse came back to my mind, Luke 6:38. Given will be given to you, pressed down, shaken together, flowing over. And in my life, as a single person, working with family and church family and people around me, I feel that God has just got the water spigot on and it's just overflowing. And I pray and thank him every morning because I'm not worthy of the blessings that he pours out on my life. And sometimes I think, God, who am I that you love me so much that I give you a smidgen of what you give me, but you still continue. And I can only say that if right now you think it's hard and you're not tithing, you don't feel like you're at a place in your life where you can do that, one Sunday, one week when you get your paycheck, before you write any bills, before you do anything, before you go buy groceries, you figure what a tenth would be. And you say, God, I'm going to trust you. Today, I'm going to trust you. It doesn't look like I can meet all my bills. It doesn't look like I can put food on my table. It doesn't look like I can do the things I need to do. But I'm going to trust you. And let me tell you, it might be hard those first couple of times. And you think, okay, God, it's got to be a miracle because I can't do it. You can't. You can't do it by yourself. Only with God's help and giving to him what he asked us for, a tenth, 10%. If you made $250 a week, that ain't but $25. We blow that going out to eat or putting gas in the car or whatever. It's not a lot compared to what God gives to us. And when the Bible tells us to trust him, to try him, to prove him, you can't go wrong. Jesus died on the cross for us. He gave his all for us. And yet we hold back and say, I can't do it. It's too hard. It is in our strength, but not in God's.